Our story begins many years ago, in the darkest times of Gallifrey, when the laws were different, time was finite, and friends were few. In a cave north of the capital, near the forest of lush snow and the flowers of beauty, a dark being was seeding his destiny. His final destiny. In the long stretch of the cave, in a small opening, two lights flickered into existence. A faint sound of wheezing bellowed throughout the cavern, and very soon, two big blue boxes came into being. The doors opened, and out of the box, with the larger roof and the smaller windows, came a man sporting cargo pants, a dark navy shirt and a long dark coat with a fanny pack attached. He surveyed his surroundings as out of the box with the smaller roof stepped a woman dressed in a great coat with dark pants, a scarf and blonde hair, who began to survey the surroundings also. Both were known as the Doctor. The two beings spotted one another. The Dark Doctor, he approached his more scavenger-like self and asked, Well, what are you doing here?" The scavenger responded, Well, distress signal on the console with strange coordinates that lead back to Gallifrey's early years. How could I refuse?" she said quite brazenly. Her tone then changed, as if being here affected her. Well, more to the actual question, we should be asking, why are we here, especially here of all places? The Dark Doctor responded, The dark times? No idea. The two then saw a small tunnel leading away from their location. It looked like it stretched on for miles. They looked at one another. Sonic? Sonic. They then produced their sonic screwdrivers and began to use them as torches to light their way as they walked through. While walking in the cavern, the Dark Doctor asked the Scavenger Doctor, So, where are we now in this wild life you lead? The Scavenger Doctor responded again in a relaxed tone. Well, I've just, The Dark Doctor's eyebrows raised. So it's very early for you. That's good. Even though he knew very well how much would change in his future. So, what about you, Professor? The Scavenger said to her future self, hoping for a little hint. The Dark Doctor responded, I can... Wait, Professor? The two chuckled at that comment. The Scavenger stated, Well, between me and you, which one is it? The Dark Doctor responded, Yes, very true, very true. Though, I must say, I do admire your more adventurous look. It was an interesting period of our lives. The Scavenger responded, So what? The Dark Doctor looked at her with a relaxed smile and said, I can't say anything further. The Scavenger rested her case, but then the Dark Doctor said, but don't worry, it all turns out alright in the end, as it always does. The Scavenger knew what he meant, and smiled. Well, for what it's worth, my future doesn't look so bad, she said, as she turned towards the end of the cavern. The Dark Doctor followed her. As they reached the end, they saw another small opening. They looked at one another, and their sonics sparked together, a signification that they're in this together. As they entered the large cavern, both doctors were shocked at what they had found. Within the cavern was an abundance of machinery, spiraling dials and switches that were all connected into a large quantity of monitors. As the two approached them, they looked around for a controller, but surprised to find none. And then the Scavenger looked at the screen and was shocked. No, that can't be. Hey, Doctor! She called the Dark Doctor over, who hastily approached, asking what the issue was. The Scavenger pointed to the screen as the Dark Doctor looked in shock and horror. On the screen were their many lives, mainly from this specific regeneration cycle. From the one veiled in moonlight, to the one in constellations, to the exiled, the lonely Kiwi, the one who ventures, a man draped in navy, one of defiance, and the Scavenger herself. Then the eccentric wanderer to a renegade, along with a warrior of an Arcadian, to a man stuck in Burgundy, falling into the eclipse. All of the acolytes, the presided, the corrupted, the trilbies, before reaching the dark and the blighted. The two stood their sonics down, their many lives facing them, just faces on a screen. They realised that whoever was after them was actually watching them all, hunting them all. The Scavenger's mind raced with a million thoughts, while the Dark Doctor only had one. Where's the culprit? Stay where you are, the voice demanded. The two turned quickly, sonics raised to meet their host. And out stepped someone in a large cloak. It was worn out, old, like it had been in use for an age. But what had really stuck out was the face. Before them was someone bearing both the face of the Scavenger and the face of the Dark Doctor. It shifted between the two forms with an abundance of regenerative energy. They spoke to it. So, it is you. They spoke to them. So, it is you that have come to challenge me. Pity, I was expecting one of the others. The other two doctors were perplexed, but soon remembered that they had encountered this incarnation before in 2 previous lives. They spoke to them again. So, what is the plan here? Subdue me? Lock me up? It won't work. Suddenly, a voice screamed out into the silence. The words, "Shut up." The Dark Doctor turned to see that it was in fact his Scavenger self. She was angry, shouting at this Valeyard. How dare you, using our forms for this senseless charade? It's not senseless, said the Dark Doctor. We know him, or rather a form of him. The Scavenger was fed up waiting in suspense. So who is it? The Valeyard, the cloaked figure, chuckled, as both forms shifted between themselves. Oh, doctors, I am what's behind the door, locked away in your mind, crawling to get out in moments of anger. The rage, the instilling fear, that is me. I am the Valeyard. The Scavenger's eyebrows raised, but the Dark Doctor's was still the same, remaining, funnily enough, defiant. He asked, So what is it that you want? The Valeyard stated, I want power. I want to feel whole. I need your TARDIS. It's the only thing that will ensure my plans' completion. The Dark Doctor stepped forward. That's what you call a plan? Really? The cloaked figure was confused. Well, yes, I have a Dalek army at my disposal. Oh, a Dalek army! Oh, I am so scared, the Dark Doctor said sarcastically. Do not mock me, the Valeyard said angrily as the Dark Doctor realised something. You don't want this power. Think about it. What does power really mean in the universe anymore, and who controls it? The other two were very confused, as the Dark Doctor has the floor. Oh well, because it seems to me, Valeyard, if I may call you that. The Valeyard is somewhat interested, saying, You may. The Dark Doctor responded excitedly. Ah, yes, thank you. Because it seems to me, Valeyard, that you are in fact the one being controlled. The Valeyard is taken aback by this comment. What? As the two forms shift, I am not being controlled. The Dark Doctor scoffed at this claim, turning away from the Valeyard out of sheer disappointment. You don't even realise it. I cannot believe this. The Dark Doctor began to laugh as the Valeyard tried to maintain his dominance. Don't you dare laugh. The Dark Doctor continued to do so, while signalling to his other self with a distinct wink, hinting at his true intentions. He laughed maniacally, stating, Why shouldn't I? You're not actually going to do anything, and if you do, it'll just prove my point even more. The Valeyard grew in frustration and anger. What point? The Dark Doctor calmed himself down before uttering the sentence. You're not the one in control, are you? The Valeyard took a step back, angrily stating, I am in control. The Dark Doctor laughed again, stating, come on, as if. I mean, really? All you've done is move about time, scaring some Daleks. I mean, Christ, you've only managed to get me once, and even that was a fluke? The Valeyard's fury grew as the Dark Doctor mocked him over and over with endless comments. The Scavenger grew bored and frustrated with this, rushing to the other self, asking, what does this even prove? To which the Dark Doctor assured her, don't worry, I'll have him on the run in a bit. The Valeyard felt insulted. On the run? What are you talking about? The Dark Doctor finally calmed before stating, I mean, if you wanted one of our TARDISes, you'd have been long gone. And yet here you are acting like some prima donna. The Valeyard angrily chuckled. Oh, you think that, do you, Doctor? Well, let's see how you like being stuck here, in the darkness. He takes off, shouting back at the Scavenger, You're in luck, my dear. It appears I only needed one to achieve my goals. The Scavenger was confused, but then realised. He's going for the TARDIS. Come on. She began to run after him while the Dark Doctor slowly followed, chuckling as he did. The Valeyard reached the two boxes and took a moment, feeling the atmosphere, for the right box. And then he realised. Aha! This one. He rushed for the Dark Doctor's box, opening and shutting the door, just as the Scavenger Doctor reached it. She banged on the box, shouting, Get out! To coerce him out, but to no avail. Suddenly, the box began to fade from view, leaving the Scavenger standing there, her own box to her left. She looked shocked, afraid and worried all at once as the Dark Doctor approached her, gleaming from ear to ear. She marched over to him, furious with how calm he's acting towards the situation, shouting at him, How could you just let him do that? He's gone now, genius, to who knows where. The Dark Doctor simply chuckled again. She called that out. Oh, laughing again. Yeah, great. Glad you're still optimistic. The Dark Doctor smiled. I know where he's going. This surprised the Scavenger Doctor, who asked, What? The Dark Doctor explained, Well, he's going to Division. The recall sequence should still be in motion, so I imagine that he'll be arriving there very soon. The Scavenger Doctor backed up. Wait, Division? How did you know it was Division? To which the Dark Doctor stated, Well, because I was there, of course. The Scavenger was shocked. But how? Wait, you're from later, aren't you? She said. Indeed, said the Dark Doctor. I had anticipated you'd catch on, just as I had him pegged to run off and take my TARDIS, although I was hoping for it to be a lot quicker than what actually transpired. The Scavenger Doctor wondered, and then asked, Well, what happens now? If you're really from the future where this all works out, then... He cut her off. Then we need to get moving. As he checked his watch, our other selves are already making their way there already, so we might as well join them. What for? She asked again. The end of the line. The last stop. She thinks for a moment, and then begins to head for her own TARDIS, opening the door. But then she took a moment to look back at him and ask, Are you sure this all works out? Positive, stated the Dark Doctor. She smiled at him, and they both entered the TARDIS, shutting the door behind them. The box began to gleam with light as it faded from existence, leaving the cave in silence.